The most dangerous weapon in the world is not a nuclear bomb. It's located right between your ears. It is your own mind when it becomes an endless monologue, a relentless stream of thoughts, anxieties, and what-if scenarios. That is the noise. It isn't a sound from the outside. It is an echo from within. It is the voice of your inner critic, endlessly replaying every mistake you've ever made. It is the echo of past traumas, of words long spoken but whose scars are still fresh. It is the vague fear of a future that has never existed, yet you feel it with terrifying clarity. For most people, these might just be passing thoughts. But for deep thinkers, for sensitive souls, for those born with a brain that seems to have no off switch, this noise isn't just an annoyance. It is an invisible weight. It steals your peace in every moment. It turns the present, which is meant to be lived, into a waiting room for the next disaster. It gnaws at your confidence with endless questions. Am I good enough? What are they thinking about me? Did I do something wrong? It exhausts you. Have you ever felt like a battery starting the day fully charged, but after just a few interactions, a few news headlines, a few minutes of scrolling, your energy is completely drained for no apparent reason? You absorb the emotions of others like a sponge. You sense the tension in the air that no one speaks of. And in the end, you are the one who is most tired. For a long time, the world has told you, you think too much. Family, friends, even you yourself have said, I'm too sensitive, I'm too deep, I'm too complicated. Those labels, whether intentional or not, all imply one thing, that something is wrong with you. But just stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself a completely different question. What if the problem isn't that you have too many thoughts? What if the problem isn't your sensitivity? What if the real problem is that you were never given a system to manage them? What if your mind isn't a chaotic mess, but a magnificent palace without an architect? Nearly 2,000 years ago, there was a man who faced a noise on a scale we can hardly imagine. He didn't just hear the noise in his head. He heard the roar of battle on the borders. He heard the whispers of treacherous plots in his own palace. He heard the cries of a Rome being ravaged by plague. He was Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of the most powerful empire in the world. And his burden was the lives of millions. Amidst that unimaginable chaos, in a general's tent on the battlefield, Marcus Aurelius did not try to silence the noise. He knew that was impossible. Instead, he discovered a counterintuitive truth, a truth that became the foundation of Stoic philosophy. He realized, you cannot stop the storm from raging, but you can absolutely build a lighthouse that cannot be toppled. You cannot silence the noise of the world or even the noise in your own mind, but you can absolutely build an inner citadel, a steadfast refuge that no noise can penetrate. This isn't another video telling you to just think positive. This is a blueprint for construction. We will not try to fight your thoughts in vain. We will learn to build that fortress, brick by brick, through 5 golden principles, written by the greatest emperor for himself during long, restless nights, in his immortal journal, Meditations. Get ready to turn your chaotic mind into your greatest source of strength. And stay until the end, because the 4th principle, the view from above, may be the very key that sets you free forever. To build a structure that can withstand any storm, we must first identify the weak foundations that are making our minds tremble. We must look directly at the habits of thought that have unintentionally nurtured the noise for years. Then, with the precision of an architect and the resolve of a Stoic, we will replace them with indestructible materials, forged from the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius. The first cornerstone, the principle that begins all peace, starts with admitting a hard truth. The first weak foundation you must demolish is the illusion that you can command your mind to be silent. You've tried, haven't you? You sit down, try to push an anxious thought out of your head, only for it to return with more force. You tell yourself, stop thinking about it, and immediately, it's the only thing you can think about. You believe that if you just try hard enough, if you have enough willpower, you can win this internal battle. But Marcus Aurelius, sitting in his tent on the cold German frontier, facing death daily, knew the truth. That battle cannot be won because you are fighting on the wrong front. He knew that first impressions, the automatic thoughts that arise in the mind, are just like the weather. They are beyond your control. Trying to stop a thought from appearing is as futile as trying to stop the rain from falling. The only thing, and the most powerful thing you control, is your assent to those thoughts. This is the core foundation of Stoic philosophy, the dichotomy of control. Imagine the noise as uninvited guests. They knock on the door of your mind constantly, day and night. You cannot stop the knocking. But you have absolute power to decide whether to open the door, invite them in, serve them tea, and let them stay. Most of us don't just open the door. We roll out the red carpet for them, letting them take over the living room and rule our inner home. Practice this today. Whenever a negative or anxious thought appears, stop. Don't fight it. Simply observe it and tell yourself, a guest has just knocked. I acknowledge its presence, but I am under no obligation to let it in. Realize that you and your thought are two separate entities. You are the homeowner, not the guest. This is your first shield of reason. The second weak foundation is the habit of turning every event into a dramatic story. Our mind is a brilliant director, but it specializes in producing horror films from everyday scripts. He doesn't text back. You think, he's definitely mad at me. This relationship is over. Your boss looks at you with a serious expression. You think, I'm about to be fired. This is the endless fuel for the noise. You don't just experience the event. You write a tragic novel around it, and you are the suffering protagonist. But Marcus Aurelius taught, it is not things that disturb us, but our judgment about things. He advises us to strip away the layer of judgment, of self-told stories, and look only at the naked truth. Learn to be a reporter, not a commentator. The event is, the message was sent at 10 a.m. and has not been answered. That is the truth. The judgment is, he hates me and is deliberately ignoring me. That is the story you added. The noise is created by the story, not the event. Practice this. When an event makes you feel uneasy, take a piece of paper or just say it in your head. Divide it into two columns. Column 1, what is the objective event? Column 2, what is the story I am telling myself? Separating these two will immediately diminish the power of the noise. You will see that most of your suffering comes from the stories of your own creation. The third, and perhaps most common weak foundation, is letting the mind wander aimlessly between the tombs of the past and the mists of the future. These are the two most fertile grounds for the noise to grow and flourish. You spend hours tormenting yourself over a decision already made, or worrying about a scenario that may never happen. But Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that your life only takes place in a single, tiny, yet all-powerful moment. The present moment. The past is dead. It is nothing but ash and memory. The future does not exist. It is only an illusion. Your power, your true existence, lies only here, right now. The noise is the sound of things that are not real, the ghosts of yesterday and the phantoms of tomorrow. Focusing on the present is how you pull the plug on them. This doesn't mean you don't plan for the future or learn from the past. It means you do not allow them to squat in the precious mental real estate of the present. Practice this. Spend 5 minutes each day focusing on one simple action. When you drink tea, don't think about work. Just feel the taste of the tea, the warmth of the cup. When you walk, don't listen to a podcast. Just feel your feet on the ground, the wind on your skin. This is how you anchor your mind to reality, the strongest anchor in the storm. The fourth weak foundation, and perhaps the one that imprisons us the most, is being drowned by our personal problems. Our minds tend to magnify every difficulty, turning a hill into an insurmountable mountain range. The noise becomes deafening at this point, not because it's truly loud, but because you are standing too close to it. Marcus Aurelius, as the man who held the fate of an empire, invented an extraordinary mental exercise to deal with this. During long nights in his tent, surrounded by plague, betrayal, and death, he practiced what we now call the view from above. This is not just a fleeting thought. It is a deliberate journey of the imagination. He would begin by lifting his mind high, looking down at his own body sitting and writing. Then higher, looking down on the vast German battlefield. Then higher still, until Rome was just a small dot, and all of Europe just a patch of land. And then he would fly even further, seeing the earth as nothing more than a tiny blue sphere, suspended in the infinite silence of the cosmos. From that perspective, a war, an insult, a financial worry, did they still matter as much? When you change your perspective, the importance of the problem changes too. The noise of personal anxieties is drowned out by the great silence of the universe. This is the key I promised you at the beginning of the video. Practice it. When you feel overwhelmed by a problem, close your eyes. Imagine you are seeing yourself from the ceiling, then from the sky, then from outer space. Ask yourself, will this matter in 10 years? In the grand view of the eternal cosmos, does it really mean anything? The answer will often grant you a surprising sense of peace. And finally, the most dangerous weak foundation, the cement that holds all the bricks of anxiety together, is the act of resisting, resenting, and complaining about unwanted events. Why me? This isn't fair. This shouldn't be happening. Each of these questions is an act of pouring gasoline on the fire of the noise. The ultimate principle of Marcus Aurelius, the capstone of the inner citadel, is to not only accept, but to love everything that happens, to see it as a necessary and indispensable part of one's path. That is Amor Fati, a love of one's fate. Fire does not just burn, it also forges steel. Adversity does not just destroy, it reveals character. Marcus Aurelius believed that the obstacle in the path becomes the path. The noise of resistance is the most exhausting noise of all, because you are fighting against reality itself, a fight you can never win. When you learn to say yes to everything, even the most painful and unjust parts, you are no longer at war with it. True silence is not the absence of problems. True silence is born from unconditional acceptance. Practice this. With every unwanted event that happens to you today, from the smallest thing like a traffic jam to the largest, try telling yourself this mantra. This is what I need for my training. I will not just endure it, I will use it. Look for the lesson, the opportunity, however small, within the adversity itself. This is the Stoic way of turning lead into gold. These 5 principles are not psychological tricks. They are 5 indestructible materials for you to build your inner citadel. A sanctuary you can return to at any time, no matter how chaotic the outside world becomes. It is not apathy. It is stability. It is not escapism. It is mastery. The noise will never truly disappear. Life will always have its challenges. Your mind will always have its uninvited thoughts. But the difference now is that you are no longer its victim. You are the gatekeeper. You are the architect. You are the king of your inner kingdom. You decide which thoughts get to stay and which must dissolve before the calm of your reason. The mind of a deep thinker is not a curse. It is a fertile land. Don't let the weeds of anxiety grow rampant. Use these Stoic principles to cultivate wisdom, courage, and peace. Comment below which principle from Marcus Aurelius resonated with you the most, and how will you start practicing it today? If these teachings brought you value, please like this video to spread Stoic knowledge and subscribe to Stoic Source to build our fortitude together on this journey. Because true silence is not the absence of noise. It is the presence of yourself.